I want to talk a bit more about the idea of comparison. I think, so you've probably heard the quote, comparison is the thief of joy. I believe most people, when they identify comparison as being bad, they think of upwards comparison, which is like someone else has something better than me. So I think that a lot of people who struggle with comparison, they'll be like, oh, like I see this person online, their life looks more fun than mine. Or I have a girlfriend, but I'm going online, I'm seeing all these beautiful women and then they doubt their relationship. Or like this person's traveling the world and I'm just at home. And I think that's like a really common thing. But what I've recently realized is how bad it is to compare downwards too. So like if you look at someone and you're like, well, that person's not worth my time. Like maybe they're not as far in their career as I am. So you know this quote, you're a product of the 5 most people you surround yourself with. So I think that in the self-help world or the entrepreneurship world, it's easy to look at other people and be like, oh, I need to spend my time efficiently. Or like, maybe this guy's not worth my time because he's not on the same path, or this person doesn't have the qualities I have. And I think that's really bad too, because anyone you consider yourself better than might be connected to your future business partner, or might be connected to your future wife, or might become your best friend. And by thinking that your life is better, that you shouldn't spend time with them, you're like limiting all the like tree branches of possibility that person could bring. And it's not to say that you should look at people with like, what can they give me? I think you should look at people and say, what can I give them? But I just think it's interesting, those juxtapositions of comparison. You have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting. I have a good amount of thoughts, but it's interesting when you were talking about like the reasons why you shouldn't look down on people. I just think in general you shouldn't look down on people, right? It's like not necessarily about the future consequences of looking down on this person. It's just like, and also like not assigning value to people or like what you can give them.
Yeah.
I think that it's like a precarious balance of both of these things, because unfortunately, which I also like just struggle to say, is like the truth is that we all have limited time.
Yeah.
Not to say that's a bad thing, but it is true that because of limited time, we should be prioritizing relationships that we think are meaningful to us.
Yeah.
But quickly putting someone in a bucket where it's like, oh, they're not worth my time is never okay.
Yeah.
Less so because you think that you're better than them, but more so because you just don't have that much time.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, as you grow older, it's like, oh, cultivating the relationships you have can be meaningful. And there's like a baseline level of respect that you should have for everyone. I don't know, I always say this, but I really just do think that everyone's a team. Like we're all a team, like every human.
Yeah.
It's in reality, it's like not even just humans, like everyone on Earth, even the Earth, like we're all just a big team. Like we're all working together. Which is why like we were having a conversation before this podcast started about friends. And it's like, yeah, like we're already friends. Like everyone's already like, and this is not to say that I like everyone. I definitely don't like everyone. I definitely dislike people, but it's like I love all of them because we're all a team. Like we're all a team, and we're talking about comparison upward versus comparison downward. I think again this is about perspective, because I think comparison, from a non-emotional context at all, I think is actually really beneficial, because it's like, oh my God, I'm the same age as this person, and they've achieved X, Y, Z. I'm like, wow, what can I learn from them? You know, it's not like a, oh shit, like I'm not them. And even downward, it's like you can also learn from them as like, oh, I don't want to take, or don't want to make the same decisions that some people make. And a lot of times when you're asking for advice from people older than you, it's like, it's either like, oh, you should do this, it's really helped me out, or it's like, oh, you shouldn't do this because this let me down the wrong way. And yes, we all have like different circumstances from which we grow up and stuff. But I don't know, it's always a perspective thing. I think comparison is actually great. Like, especially I play sport. I love playing volleyball.
Yeah.
I love when the other team is a bit better than us, because it's way better when we win. You know what I mean? It's like, I think comparison is actually such a good thing sometimes, because when I actually like one of my favorite feelings is like being surrounded by people that I think I'm completely outclassed by.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, wow, this is what the world can be. Like, this is who I can be. Like, this is so sick.
Yeah.
Like amazing. It would be like the best when it's like, oh wow, like I'm just sitting there silently listening. It's like, these people are awesome, and I would love to learn from them. And I do think that they're like better than me in XYZ ways. It's not like a oh, I'm worse than them and like therefore I'm value myself less than them. It's that these people have been able to do things that I want to do. I'd love to learn from them. Yeah.
Dude, your perspective is amazing again. And it's so true. Everything you're saying, I agree with. I've just never had someone lay it out this simply. But that is wild because now that I think about it, I do, again, like I look at people all the time, like back to the creator camp people, I look at them, a lot of them accomplish more than me, but it always just inspires me to create something similar in my life or to push me. Whereas, yeah, and the volleyball example you used is such a good example too. I always talk about like when I play spike ball, like to me
You play spike ball?
yeah, I mean no,
You should run it.
yeah, I'm down to play. We can play after. When I play spike ball, to me the worst thing is, and maybe this sounds bad, is when like two people walk up who have never played and they're like, let's play, and then I start playing, and because the quality of the game is so dependent on who you play with, and it's so not enjoyable. Which is interesting because I almost always, when I play a sport, I try to go on the slightly worse team because I'm very competitive.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn, I'm going to like be the difference, but that's just fun for me.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's so interesting, all about perspective.